not just a Keller Williams thing. It is a industry-wide thing. When I started real estate at Lair, the first book they gave me to read was MREA. So this is really an industry-wide thing that is only helpful to agents. So I'm gonna start the video. I want you guys to be active in the chat. I'm monitoring the chat as well on my iPad. So if you guys are only comfortable or only available to type questions, I'll be able to answer them for you. We have someone here live. So if they have questions, I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna talk with them. If you guys, have any questions, raise your hand. Ashley's here to help me too. I will say there's a chance I may cancel the lending portion of Buyer 101 today. I could do it myself, but I really want you guys to get the most value out of it. And I can get a lender here early next week. So either way, you'll hear from me or Ashley, or you'll get a text from the market center if we have to rearrange. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and we're gonna get started. Cool. There was a long portion of them kind of just getting everything together here.
How are you?
I'm so good. Well, see ya. Oh, my fade is just not good. It's not on point. I gotta really work. Smithers. Okay, I can see it. Brian, you look nothing like Smithers. Don't worry about it.
Well, I appreciate that. Feeling a little bit the hot weather up here. Had a graduation party yesterday, so waiting for caffeine to kick in.
All right. I'm gonna try to softly exit the music. So down. Oh, my fade is just not good. It's not on point. I gotta really work on that. I gotta work on the fade of the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first of 11 series of the MREA hosted by the New England Keller Williams. So I'm really excited for you guys to be here this morning. I do have to stop sharing my screen for a minute. All right, so good morning, and we're going to jump right in because we only have 45 minutes with you. 30 minutes of it is full-on content with our instructor, and then we're going to go right into 15 minutes of ahas, takeaways, and action plans for this series. So if you do have your red book, I encourage you to keep it right next to you during this entire series. If you don't have one, I'm going to ask you to email me a couple of things, and I'm going to throw my email in the chat section. Email me your name. Well, your name will be there yet. I'd love to know what market center you're at and where to get you a book. So I just need to know those two things. You can email me that you don't have a book. That's three things, right? You don't have a book, where we would be sending it, what market center you're at. Okay, thank you, Brooke, very much. And Brian, I'm going to throw it right over to you. Quickly, I will mention, my name is Jen Hovey. I'm the area director for the New England region, and I'm excited to bring you this MREA series. It is hosted by the team leaders in this region. So I'm really excited to be introducing you to a whole bunch of team leaders, and we are kicking it off with one of my favorites. I've actually known Brian. I was a brand new team leader, and I don't know if you remember this, Brian, but I met you at Train the Presenter in Boston. A very, very long time ago. I think it was 2012, 2013. And I was blown away by Brian. I was a little intimidated by his presence and his delivery on the way he could present material. So I'm really excited, one, that you're our first instructor and that everybody gets to hear from you today. So welcome. And go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, you also may remember my audio video crashed on that course when I was supposed to present. So this is reminding me of that because this is the first time I think through Teams I've done a Zoom and a slideshow. So real quick background, and please folks, interrupt anytime you have questions. I talk too much, I talk too fast, but I'm extremely passionate about this topic. I've been in the industry about 25 years. I ran a 10 office Century 21 before I joined forces with Adam Bergenrother and helped launch Vermont. We're up to 186 agents. And this book has been a life changer for me. This book taught me more than 3 years about real estate as a business that I learned from Search 21 a decade, not knocking C21. Since then, it's actually helped me, grow a successful property management company, run a real estate team and a market center. I've also applied what I've learned in this book to, well, I'm starting to the CBD company as well as a closet storage company. So I truly encourage you guys to dive into this. I'd love to know just a couple introductions of what you guys would love to hear out of this series, particularly today, to make sure that we're respecting your time. Anybody, 2, 3 quick thoughts, questions? Why are you here on a Monday morning? Anybody?
I really want to be able to run the company as it is a company, not so much like a lot of other realtors you hear like that. Be able to run the company as a company, step away and build others as you have.
Absolutely. 2 more.
Good morning, Brian.
Morning.
Reinforce what I know and to, reinstill the things I don't do, just to kind of stay on top of those things.
Excellent. And 1 third one. Anybody so kind this morning? See, I am here to keep getting better at what I do. Now, I heard that Warren Buffett said, if you're in real estate, you should read this book 10 times. I'll admit I've only probably gone through it 3, so I need to hopefully jump into it another one. All right, well, let's dive in. And again, folks, please interrupt anytime you have questions. And let me hit the slideshow with the screen share. And there we go. All right. All right, and let's see here. Everybody have the PowerPoint in front of them, or am I on the wrong slide?
I was gonna jump
No,
on
you're
that.
All right. So think big, act, aim high, act bold, and live large. There's several different opinions. Side note, Jen, one more comment on that first training class. I realized we have 63 slides in 30 minutes, so I gotta start talking fast. So,
All right, Ryan, I'm just gonna cut you off for 1 quick minute. We
Please.
just realized that the room capacity got cut off at 100, so you are the lucky 100 this morning. Yet we are working behind the scenes to get this fixed. So if your friends are text messaging you, let them know we're working on it. We're either going to stream it to Facebook or we're going to open the room up. We're working on it behind the scenes. Brooke, anything?
Yeah, we're working on getting on the Facebook group right now. And this is the full PowerPoint, Brian, not just your section. So don't feel like you don't have 60 slides,
all
okay?
right, sounds good. And slow me down anytime. All right, so jump right in. Oh, too much caffeine. There we go. One more there. Think big, aim high, act bold, and live large. There's a lot of definitions on various people's definitions on success. To me, one of the most salient definitions of success is a life of few regrets. Now, I will share with you, I'm turning 50 this year, and I had very few regrets in my life. One is I wish I helped my mother out more in high school when I was a punk rocker, and she was a single mom. And very candidly, I wish I set my goals larger, because I realized, thanks to this book and thanks to KW, I've been able to accomplish quite a bit. So I think one of our biggest risks in life is actually not setting our goals high enough. And I think it's on page 21 of the book. They talk about hunting wolves and aiming high. Anybody read the story where the shepherd's son is out at night and they think they see a wolf on the distance? They've got to raise the aim of that rifle to actually connect. So I think one of our challenges oftentimes comes in we are trained to play it safe. And there's a lot of our school systems, that's what they train. The problem with playing it safe in business is that we may not set our sights high enough to provide for those that we wish to provide, including the communities. So the 24 topics of the MREA. First and foremost, the MREA is about models and systems. Thanks to KW, I have learned that if I'm in pain in my business life, I'm missing a system or a system.
I just want to stop this here for you guys because I want to kind of discuss this. I know that a lot of you guys are in the coaching program and I talk a lot about setting a foundation, and that's a lot of what this book is about. If possible, can someone chime in on if they've gotten to this section of the book? Have you read the book?
I've read it.
That's fine. So basically, this is something we can't really move forward. This book kind of stages, you're going to bring that model up and we'll discuss that as well. But I just want to reiterate that when we have our coaching over this 12-week program, sorry, it says my internet connection is unstable. When we have our coaching through this 12-week program, it's essentially to perfect the models. And I want to caution you, because I know a lot of people are, want to get creative, want to try new things, want to kind of jump right into it. And I'm so down for that. But we have to perfect the models first. If you decide you don't like a model after you've implemented it, you've done it for 90 days and you're not seeing something, then we shift and we change, and you can get creative in the way that you do things. But the models work, the foundation works, and the models are your foundation. You need to perfect them before you can kind of go on and find your niche and become amazing, like you all will. So I'm gonna let you go.
Or a hoop. So big models lead to big success. Certainly, a lot of us charge in, we look for that easy path, we look for that easy, creativity, that one idea, that one silver bullet. In reality, all we can do is really focus on the models. So first, and then creativity second. E to P, and this is one of the phenomenal courses well to take, is the KW6 Personal Perspectives. And one of the things that I've learned through 30 years of this industry and starting a couple different companies is that everyone hits a point where they just feel like they're blooding their forehead, they're hitting a ceiling. And what we see happen all too often in our industry is people actually move in and out of their positions, in and out of teams, possibly change companies, because when we hit a ceiling of achievement, we don't look for new models and new systems to implement. Yet when we're really hitting, a stride and we're in pain, we'll look for a new model, a new system, as it shows on the lower right-hand screen, to actually break through and improve our models and systems.
I want you guys to make sure that you bookmark this page, because this is where in real estate, a lot of times somebody will use their natural ability, they're not using the models, and then they hit that ceiling and then they stop. And this is exactly why we have this coaching program and why we're kind of reviewing this. And while we'll continue to review it, we're always going to go back to this. You can use your natural ability, sure, but using a foundational model will help you break through to another level that you would have never thought you could get to, which is essentially what Brian's talking about here. But I just want you to bookmark it, hold on to it. This is an important one to keep note of, because you will hit ceilings in your business. It will be frustrating and you have to move forward anyway. So I want you to always remember this model here.
Adopting the right foundational models will enable you to break through the right ceiling. All right, so first and foremost, we go into this MREA thing, the foundational models. Lead, listings, and leverage. Leads, listings, and leverage. My guess is, like a lot of our market centers, we have a fair amount of agents that are doing really, really well right now. We also have a fair amount of agents that are struggling as we're focusing on buyers. We don't have enough listings. Whereas right now in any market, listings will be a huge key to this. Does anybody want to comment what they think of when they think of leverage, or any challenges of the word leverage? Please.
This is Kimon from Hartford, Connecticut. When I think of leverage, I think of optimizing system leverage before I jump maybe right into people leverage, just so that we can keep our eyes on our bottom line and ensuring that our monies are well spent.
Excellent and well said. And I was challenged by the word leverage at first. To me, a lot of times it also applies to talent. It also applies to systems that vertically integrate, and such as customer service events. They talk about the 33 touch that recirculate our business to provide even more returns. Leads. To succeed in real estate, you must have client leads. It's that simple. Recently I was challenged by one of our agents. They said that they had a blank number. The people they were working with they were negative, they were tired. It was an unfortunate comment. And I challenged that agent. I said, it sounds like you have a lead problem. They said, no, I don't. I have plenty of leads. Just the people I'm working with are fill in the blank. I said, well, it sounds like you have a lead problem. We went through it again, and my point to the person is, if they weren't enjoying all the, the people they were working with, and they didn't like the people they were working with, they had a lead problem because they didn't have enough leads to better select and work with those people who appreciate the business. So first and foremost, one of the key things that we've got to do in our business is create I'd say 3 to 5 lead channels at least for me. Listings. Listings are the high leverage, maximum earning opportunity in our industries. There's an old phrase, listings give babies. You guys know this. Put a sign out, we get a sign call, we put it on 350 different websites, we start to get lead calls, open house, the Facebook leads, so forth and so on. Listings are absolutely key. And I'll be very candid with everybody on the session today. When I was in the front lines, I liked buyers a little bit more because it was new, it was exciting. I could drive around the corners, see their eyes light up. But listings, I loved from the sense it was a phenomenal time value of money, and it gave me something to leverage to create a team that I could actually bring them value and not work in the fields every single day. I was also challenged with listing with some sellers telling them the market wasn't agreeing with their pricing strategy. Leverage.
So Brian, I'm gonna jump in just for a little bit, if that's okay with you. I'm looking at page 41 of the MREA,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if yours look like this, but my book is like all underlined, highlighted areas. And there's something in here that I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that Gary talks about in the gift of real estate gods, which is listings. And he says, listings are the high leverage, maximum earning opportunity in our industry. And I kind of want to throw a question out there. If you guys haven't read this section and just about listings, do you know why he mentions this in this little section here? Anybody? Why does he say that it's the maximum earning opportunity in our industry?
Gives us the ability to generate out other leads other than just the listing itself by our clients.
Steve, you're absolutely spot on. Every listing should get you at least one buyer opportunity. Yes. What else? Absolutely. What else?
When I think of maximum earning opportunity, I think of time also, because as a working mom, my time is invaluable. And so having a good amount of listings allows me to buy that time so I can still earn my earning potential and be able to spend time with them.
Yes, you're absolutely spot on as well. Come on, you're absolutely right. 15 to 25 seller listings per month is what a listing agent could obtain. You go on the buyer side, it's 7 or 8 buyers a month. And how much more time do you spend with buyers than listings? Let me ask that quick question.
So a lot more time with buyers.
A lot more time with buyers, right?
Years.
Right now, how many offers are getting rejected? More than that are getting accepted, right? So we're exhausted as buyers agents. Listings are key here to make sure, even if you're on a team, that your team is obtaining as many listings as possible for you as a buyer's agent, right? So, and Tim also put in the comment section, you are in complete control of the commission conversation when you get listings. Absolutely. So sorry, Brian, I just wanted to jump in and point out a couple of things in that section. And I might do that from here to there.
I encourage you, the more the merrier, more the merrier. Yeah.
So I wanted to stop here to chime in about what Jen had just mentioned about when you are on the listing side of a transaction, you're in complete control of the commission conversation. I know you're all new, but I would like it if someone could kind of chime in if they know what that means. And if you don't know, let me know that you don't know so I can elaborate. Making them sweat. Look at, she's sweating. I'll see if they chime in here too. Come on, guys. Don't make me make it weird. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Yes, so you have the conversation about the commission and you decide how it's split. So we can't discuss specific numbers because there is, obviously market norms, but there's antitrust laws that, we can't talk about it in too much depth, but the conversation and the split is set at the listing side. You can certainly do it on the buyer side as well, like we talked about in Buyer 101 yesterday, how you have the conversation with them about your buyer agency agreement. If you're asking for 3% in that buyer agency agreement and the listing's only giving you 2%, you have to have the conversation with your buyer about the additional 1%. Not every buyer is going to have the cash to pay for that because they have to come up with their down payment and their closing costs. You should have the conversation up front, but what if something changes? What if they have to put more down than they originally anticipated because it's considered a jumbo loan? Like there's a lot of variables that could prevent you from getting that additional 1%. And that's why when you're building your business, if you're thinking about your real estate career like a business, listings are part of the foundation because that's a metric that you can control. It's reliable. You know what you're going to be getting. You know what you charge on average, and it's just easier to track and build off of. You also, again, like they've discussed here, you have way more opportunity to market yourself when you have a listing. You have control over the situation. It's similar to like, when you're covering an open house for somebody, you can push it out, and you're getting your name out there, and maybe you pay for an ad so people see you. But when it's your listing, it just hits different. I don't know how else to say it. It just hits different. When those people that maybe started to, maybe not doubt you, but obviously when you get into business for yourself, you're going to have your fair share of people who are doubting you. It's a good way to kind of just say, oh no, I got a listing. I'm selling houses. Look at me. It's a good way to build on a marketing perspective, and it's a necessary way to build off of your business because it's, again, you're in control of the commission conversation, and there is no variable like on the buyer side. It's not the same. So there you go.
And listings, simply put, are the watershed moment. They help everything happen. And you guys have seen it, Jen. We had an agent last week, week before last, 14 offers, only got 2 accepted in 1 week. And while they're buyers extremely valuable, listings are huge. And I encourage people, look for 3 to 5 channels of leads, both on the buy side and the listing side. Just as a side note, real estate team I'm involved with, we have corporate foreclosures, SOI, we go after eviction notices and apartment notices, and then we do the 33 touch. So encourage you, as you're building your lead channels, think of a lot of 3 to 5 for each side of the business. So moving on to page 42, leverage time versus money. We've all heard that time is money. Well, it simply isn't true. In fact, one of the worst mental maps, is, let's see, moving right along. Truth is, time does not always translate into money. You guys can probably agree. We've had those customers, we believe it's going to happen. So I think one of our challenges in this business is how do we actually use our time most wisely, and how do we channel it to better leverage each action for multiple results. Sun Tzu, Asian Chinese warlord, Caden Vermont crew, they knew he was going to enter into today's session. Leverage every action, be it the action of yourself or your opponent, as many times as absolutely possible. So on page 43, leverage answers 3 important questions. Who is going to do it? How will they do it? What will they do it with? The answer, of course, is people, systems, and tools. Now, Jen, as you've grown through the industry, through the career, and climbed through leadership, what was one of your challenges with leverage? Did you have to come to, peace with the fact that as amazing as you are, there's some aspects of our industry that other people are potentially better at?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? That was the biggest challenge, is the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the people was me. Sometimes I had to really look inside and say, I'm just not the right person for this particular thing. And I need to find a person that could elevate that and fill that gap for me. Because I have some strengths, but I have a lot of weaknesses, right? So leverage was so key. And this first one is, who is going to do it? Who's going to do it? That is so important, because you're going to get a lot of the who's wrong. In this whole game of building your team, your business, sometimes you get it wrong. Brian, what's one way to help us not get that wrong so many times?
But take it very seriously and dive into career visioning, dive into also understand KPIs, DISC personality profiles. I think the other thing that's huge with that, Jen, is recognizing that we're in a society we look for the easy switch. let's go have a 2 20-minute interview, hire somebody and hire a rock star employee. It rarely works that way. So I would encourage you folks, dive into career visioning. I've taken the predecessor RSTLM 6 or 7 times. Every time I feel like I've mastered it, I realize I'm in first grade and I need to go back to the session again. The other thing as well too, and this is slightly off topic, but I hopefully will bring back in. When you're looking at why to do all this stuff, start with a huge, huge, big why. Paint it out so you can taste it. And right now, where you want to be spiritually, physically, financially, what does your professional life look like?
So I'm glad he's talking about the big why. For those of you who are in the coaching program, I spend time with you one-to-one, and usually our first one-to-one is for me to get your life story. I want to know where you're from. I want to know what you've been through. I want to know what you did before you came to Keller Williams, or before you got into the real estate industry. And then we discuss what your big why is. It's usually a goal behind what you're doing. It's always important to keep that in mind. And if we haven't set a one-to-one yet and you're in the coaching program, definitely get on my calendar, because that is what's going to drive you on the days that you don't want to do your job. Because again, you're in business for yourself. No one is going to force you to show up. It's really up to you. No one's coming. No one's coming to help you. No one's coming to pull you out of bed. No one's coming to make you have that, make the tough choice of, hey, I should jump on that Zoom that Sarah's doing, even though I might nod off. I'm going to listen and I'm going to retain something from it. So I appreciate you all being here. And I hope that if, that big why that we discuss is driving you. And if we haven't discussed it, I want to. So hit me up.
Right, so that when you're looking at going through making all these mistakes, and the most painful ones will probably come from when you step away from doing something, because after all, you're the master, and making that first or second hire. And I would probably say, Jen, and hopefully circling back on topic, probably the first hire that most people need to make, if not a transaction coordinator, is definitely into an executive assistant. And it's probably the position, what is that, right around, I think, 24 to 30, 30 units per year. They need to be looking for an executive assistant. And that's the one that I see most people struggle with, because they think they have to go set aside 40,000 a year, 50,000 a year, 38,000 a year, whatever the case is. Folks, as you dive into it, look to set aside 3 months of their salary, and that should be more than enough to begin the process of hiring your first EA.
Yeah, Brian, I could spin off that too. Gary Keller talks about that specifically, right, in these ages. And if you talk to any top producing agent, what they say that they missed out on was hiring faster. They wish they hired someone sooner to get them to where they are now or where they're going. Because what you're doing is you're looking at your business where it's going, not where it's at, right? So if you're always going to focus on your business now, how do you grow? Because you don't have that map, right? So if you focus on your business to where it's going and you hire sooner, you'll get there faster. And that's what Gary Keller teaches us in this book, especially in this leverage section. So
Absolutely. So on page 44, we got a great model on the other side, on the right corner of the thing, foundational model of the millionaire real estate agent. You've got the leads, listing, and leverage. Leads being, again, that base. You've got to have leads. If you don't have enough leads, you can't grow a team. You can't, get out of business, so forth and so on. Listings on the side, leverage on the right. Think like a millionaire real estate agent, earn like a millionaire real estate agent, net $1 million, and then receive $1 million.
all right, Brian, I'm going to ask you a question. This is kind of a quick question on you. What's the 5th stage of growth to passing $1 million? Do you know? They added it for the MREA too.
You know what? I don't know.
Eric has it in the comments. You see, Eric, he put it in the comments.
Replace yourself is what my guess would be.
No, it's give $1 million.
Give $1 million.
Give $1 million. So you first start by thinking $1 million, then you earn $1 million, then you net $1 million, you receive it, and then you give. That was like my favorite one that they added to this whole thing. So. Yeah,
no, I really like that. That is absolutely huge. Side note, folks, the quote that drives me is the old Greek proverb: society grows great when old folks plant trees under which they will never set. Giving away that $1 million.
Yes.
All right, moving on to 46 points to remember. People have lived before us. KW.
Hey, I'm sorry. I have, just because I have this,
you're gonna keep me on time because you know how many slides we've got. I was looking at 60. We have less.
I know. I have this underlined and I want to make sure I wrote this down. Commit the foundational model of the real estate agent to memory. Draw it on the back of your business card and stick it in your wallet. That's in this book. And that foundational model is on page 44. It's this one right here, the one that we just showed you. And you see, I at the little top there, I have it in red. That's the give. Right?
Right.
So that one right there, page 44. Gary Keller says here, commit to that foundational model of the real estate agent to memory. This is an important piece. So I want you guys to stare at this for a second and really think about what this means to you, for you, in your business right now. Are you already thinking $1 million? Are you already earning $1 million? Are you netting $1 million or saving $1 million? Well, I don't even care where you are in this pyramid. Take a picture of that, put it on your phone, make it your screensaver, and commit to what this means to you. That's in this book. I'm not making this stuff up, by the way. This is in the book.
It's huge. It's a game changer.
Hey, Brian, can you just match, oh, there we go, you matched the slides.
Brooke, I appreciate you helping me this morning. This has been actually fun learning how to interact. And thank you for everybody for letting us do this. I think this is great material. We're certainly learn to work with different instructors as well as different texts. So 6 myth understandings. Moving along to page, it goes right from 44 to page 61 of my PowerPoint. All right, there we go. All right, so it does line up. Let me move the page a little bit different. 6 common myth understanding. Myth, having a goal and not fully realizing it's a negative thing. Truth, having a goal and not trying to achieve it is a negative thing. Now, I would argue that one of the most common mistakes around goals, again, is not setting them high enough. Looks like I'm jumping pages on my PowerPoint, Brooke, so I'm going to switch back to the handout. My apologies, folks, on that. All right, 6 common misunderstandings. First, I can't do it. The truth is, until you try, you can't possibly know what you can or can't do. I was involved with Adam Bergenroth when we were starting expansion, and he's now in 18 states.
This is another subject I want to just touch base on. I know that getting into real estate is uncomfortable. That's just a known. I mean, I think you get your real estate license, and if you don't know ahead of time, you certainly find out fast that you have to get yourself into some uncomfortable situations that you may not be used to in order to get ahead. And I like to stop at this myth understanding is that, I can't do it. I think a lot of people, that's their first initial reaction, just because society has kind of set us up to play it safe. You absolutely can do it. And so when I am holding you accountable and kind of, pushing you outside your comfort zone, I want you to try and keep in mind that when you are uncomfortable, it's a good thing. You're never grow when you're comfortable. It's just a fact. So if you feel uncomfortable and you feel like, ugh, I really don't want to do this, that means you should do it. So when you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, when I'm pushing you to try something new, when in regards to lead gen, specifically cold calling, it's the big, devil on everyone's back. No one wants to do it, but you have to. And once you get good at it, you get one lead from cold calling and you'll be addicted to it. So the I can't do it mentality is the first to go. There's a reason why it's number 1. Just, wanted to chime in there.
People in the last 5 to 7 years try something that we've never seen before in this industry. Thanks, Kid, it is a tremendous amount of success. So again, myth, I can't do it. Until you try, you can't possibly know what you can or cannot do. And my folks, Brooke, my apologies, my handouts seem to have jumped pages on the 6 myth understandings.
You know what I just figured out? When they redid the book, they must have moved the pages and never updated their PowerPoint. So if you just want to go off screen, I'll I'll match you in the chat with the models and stuff.
All right, thank you very much. Folks, really appreciate your patience this morning. All right. And I feel like I'm missing, hang on just a second, 6 person.
The 6 myth understandings is on page 49 in your book, and it goes through the 6, which I'll start off, Brian, while you got it.
I got it. Thank you folks very much. So 1, again, I can't do it. Until you try, you can't possibly know what you can or can't, do. Number two, it can't be done in my market. The truth is, yes, it can, but you may need a new approach. Adam Hergenrother, a good friend of mine, buddy, started doing, he doesn't do this any longer, but when we first launched the Market Center years ago, he talked about getting an upfront check at listing presentations for his services. I said, you'll never get it. After his first meeting where he tried, he showed me a $1,400 check, if I remember correctly, for services to prepare the listing for market. So I'm not recommending you guys go do that. I'm just saying I didn't believe him, and he pointed out it can be done. Number three, it would take too much time and effort. I would lose my freedom. The truth, time and effort are not deciding factors in success. We keep asking that one clarified question for the one thing. What is the one thing by which doing would make everything else easier or unnecessary? It's all about which dominoes. Number four, it's too risky, I will lose money. Risk is a direct proportion to how well you hold your incremental costs accountable to producing incremental results. One of the things that you guys will hear in this is red light, green light. Red light, green light has been invaluable to me as how I helped other companies, not just real estate, get off the ground. Look at pipelines, invest, pause, hold their money accountable, revisit. Number five, my clients will only work with me. Only I can deliver quality service. Truth, your clients aren't loyal to you. They are loyal to the standards you represent. So a little history about me. My wife was soul past cancer just a little over 5 years ago. When we were in the business together, I was the TL. She was running a great team. I even had challenges handing off my own SOI to my wife because after all, they just wanted right. When in reality, the fact of the matter is, especially if you're getting to a point where you're doing 30+ transactions a year, you're so busy that if you can better train somebody to get the results that you want, your clients will be that much better because they will appreciate, they'll get the best of both worlds with you. Your time, your contacts, but the frontline knowledge of your team members who are oftentimes in the field more than you are. Number six, having a goal and fully not realizing it is a negative thing. Having a goal and not trying, or truth, having a goal and not trying to achieve it is a negative thing. When people hear those 6 fifth understanding, what resonates with them? Does anybody care to share one that they're battling right now that they think is maybe their nemesis at the moment for the next growth level?
Yeah, Brian, what I'd love to do is kind of go through like each one and bring it to the group, right? So how many of you started this business or are in it now and have said to yourself, I can't do it. I can't do it because there's not enough listings. I can't do it because I don't have leads. I can't do it because I don't have time. Anybody here? And there's, by the way, there is zero judgment on this call. And this is about growth. And we all fail forward and we all are doing it together. So I appreciate it. So I see a couple of me's. Unmute yourself. Tell us what is one of your examples because we all could learn from it, to be honest.
Well, Jennifer, I'll say something real quick.
All right, then I'll go after you. Go ahead, Richard.
Rick down from the Portland Market Center. One of the things that I always struggle with was my buyers always want me at showings, and I'm also buyer heavy. That's not the case at all.
Which one of these myths is that? Is that number 5? Is that the one I need?
I believe it was. And part of my buyer consultation is if I'm not available, there are other agents in my office that will help show you the property. I'll still be in charge of all your paperwork though. And people respect that. They want to get into the properties. They have to be quick to get there.
Absolutely. So you know what? A lot of us, and I'm gonna do a key point on that. Did you say Rich or did you go by Richard?
Rick.
Rick. Okay. So so here's the thing, right? When you have a system down pat, meaning that when you get a phone call from a lead, you have A, B, C, and D happening next. It's easier to then give it to another person for them just to look at and say, oh, I have to do A, B, C, and D next. It's all about the systems and standards you set. So I'm going to recommend a really quick book. And you know what? We're going to recommend a lot of books during this series, by the way, because we've learned so much from each one of them. There's a book called The E-Myth Revisited. If you haven't read that book yet, I encourage you to do that. Because Rick, it tells you exactly what to do to remove that limiting belief or myth that you are the only person that can do it. They talk about how to set a franchise for yourself, just like McDonald's has done, and you could do that for yourself in your business. So I love you pointing that one out. Thank you so much. And Corinna, you're up next.
Yes, I had, when I went into real estate, my job had gotten transferred to India, so I didn't have a job anymore, but I got a nice severance, so I was gonna use that for my real estate. Well, my husband calls me on his way from work saying that he lost his job. So it's like, oh, we can't do this yet. I have to go find another job. And my husband's like, no, you just have to just plow through it. So, and I was crying as he was driving home thinking, I cannot do this. I can't do this. And I did it.
How long have you been in it? How long have you been in the business?
I've been in the business, I'm in my 7th year. So when I got into it, it was, it wasn't the best, but it was on its way turning. And financially, my husband and I had gotten smacked quite a few times and we're looking to restructure our debt. So he lost his job and that was it. How
are you doing now?
We're doing really good.
What do you attribute that to?
I attribute that to just pushing forward and just going at it and just pushing forward. That's it, because that's all I can do.
So you did whatever it takes. I don't know if you guys were on before we got started, but one of the songs we started off with was "Do Whatever It Takes," and that's what this business is really a lot about. You got to do whatever it takes, and if you have to lead generate a little more than you're comfortable with, you got to lead generate, right? And I'm sure that's what you did for a little bit. You did some stuff that you just weren't comfortable with, but you knew if you did, you'd be able to be where you are today and growing your business. So I commend you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, one thing you talked on is actually EMIT. And one of the things I find that the hundreds of people I've worked with are talented individuals is a lot of us don't have a high enough E to E ratio. Entertainment to education. So, as a side note, building off what you said, Jen, E-Myth Revisited, phenomenal book. I encourage people on this phone, I get there to call, most of them, I guess, a lot of them are, get an Audible account. You can change the narration in double time when you're in your car, showing properties, try to get at least 12 or so, if not more books in per year, because the real fact of the matter is if you have a burning big why, you won't be able to get there if you don't find the skill sets of the person who lives the life that you want to live. And E-Myth is phenomenal. The other thing I would say to anybody who's thinking about growing a team, and fulfilling this book, never underestimate the importance of studying habits in communication. Habits of individuals, communication styles. Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, probably one of the best communication books you can read. Jen, I'm starting to get us off topic, but I can't stress enough. You've got to have a high E to E, ratio to get where you want to go in this. And E-Myth Revisited is a great place to start after this book.
You know what? You're not getting us off topic. It's all on topic, Ryan, and you're doing a great job. So I just want to throw it over to Kelly. She has her hand up. So Kelly, what would you love to add to us this morning? Kelly's one of my favorites from Ignite. So.
Thanks, Jen. I just was sitting here thinking the first two, and I've not run through this book yet. And the second one, It Can't Be Done in My Market Center. I too came to Keller Williams from Century 21, where I was in a smaller office, and I thought I was doing really well, but I knew I wanted something more, and I love everything about Keller Williams. But every single day that I hear Tim Lindsay say, when I started with the company, there was like 500 agents, and it's gone to like 700 agents. So every time I hear that number, I would hit my stomach and think, I can't do this here. This market center is already saturated with so many awesome agents. I'm not going to get where I need to be. That's what and it scares me. But at the same time, I think to myself, well, wait a minute. And I've kind of tried to change that around in my head to go like, don't think that you can't, but more so align yourself. So that's what I'm trying to do, but it does scare me every day. And I hear that, like there's 700 and, you know, and I'm sure it's more than that. I probably said that and the number just went up like 3 more.
So Kelly, let me challenge you on something, okay? Because I love this conversation too. And sometimes we do get wrapped up in the like everybody else in our world. And there's a couple of things to focus on here. One, are you playing against yourself every day? Are you doing that? Are you trying to beat yourself every day? Because that's the first thing I would say is look at yourself and say, how can I be better tomorrow? 1% better. How can I be 1% better tomorrow than I was today? What can I do? The other thing is you use those 700 plus associates to your advantage when you're growing your business. And then you watch yourself grow up to the number 1. It's not about the 700. It's about the 160,000 plus within Keller Williams Associates that gives you the power to say, I'm number 1. But not only that, in your own market center, you are the number 1 market share in your area. When you're going on a listing presentation, that's your power. So it doesn't matter where if you have 0 listings, 0 buyers, when you go on that presentation, you are number 1, regardless of the number of agents in your market center. Because of them, you are number 1 collectively. Does that make sense?
It does, and it actually.
Use those languages, flip that myth to how it can be an advantage for you rather than a deterrent for you.
Right, and actually reaching out across the country, realizing that there's so many people has been the one thing that has helped me to go, no, like make it go.
I'm going to chime in here just because, again, real estate can be tough, and you can see that this woman's telling, you know, I had struggles, I had doubts when I would go on appointments because of this, basically just what I would say is like keeping up with the Joneses. Like you're looking around at all the agents that are successful and you feel like, you know, where's there room for me? You really have to try and reframe those thoughts in your mind. They're natural. They happen to everybody. I can tell you they probably happen to top producers because there's usually always a bigger fish. So, you know, I'm a top producing agent and I have my eyes on other agents, and it would be very easy for me to let doubt creep in, and I can't. And that's what's going to set you apart from other agents. You really have to work very diligently and be very aware of that negative self-talk, the doubts that are planted in your mind. That's the monkey on your back that you have to just ignore, because it's really just BS. If we weren't recording, no, I'm just joking. It's just not real. So you want to be reframing those negative thoughts, be aware of them. Don't let them stop you from doing what you have to do to get to where you want to be. And that is again why they mention find somebody who's living the lifestyle you want. If there's someone in the office, if there's someone on YouTube, you know, whoever it is, pay attention to what they're doing. Read the material they read. You have to chase it. You have to chase it.
So farther, because now I actually have the opportunity that, and through everything that Keller Williams does, I've been able to actually talk to those people and reach out to them so easily. So
Referral network is amazing within Keller Williams. Build those relationships. You have 157 people on this call. You guys get into relationship with each other. We have a huge region here that networks. Kelly and I have already been working together on throwing back referrals. Are you guys doing that? Do that, because I promise you, people from Rhode Island go to Vermont.
Absolutely.
People from Vermont come to Massachusetts and Connecticut and everywhere else. Network, guys, that's huge. Thank you, Kelly, very much. I'm going to throw it over to Courtney Bryan because she has her hand up next. So Courtney, please unmute yourself.
Yes, happy to. I'm from in Portland, Maine. But I just wanted to touch on goal setting, and I didn't realize that there were so many people in this, but she leads back out. So my setting for 6 months. I was in this for 8 years. So easy to come from there because I have to do this goal setting was for me because I had no idea where to start, or I had nothing to like look up to when I first started because I'd never seen anybody do anything like I did. My parents didn't even graduate high school, so I came from a place that was very low income and poverty and drugs and a horrible situation. So I had no one to the left and right of me to like look around and see like, how do I do this? How do I navigate this? Am I making the right decision? So I'm like constantly every day changing courses and
luckily I joined a team, so those are they've been my mentors and they've been the people that I look up to. But the goal setting kind of hit home for me. I was listening to Audible actually yesterday about this chapter. I was listening to it before we came here. And it was just, it caught me, and it was something that I thought about for probably since my ended. I was just like, wow, this is why I'm changing all of these goals all the time. This is really, this is great. It's been great so far. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Courtney, thank you for sharing that. And you know what, this is a room of sharing and growing together. So Courtney, I really appreciate you sharing that. And you know what, I was listening to the Audible, I've listened to this Audible many, many, many times over the last 9 years I've been with Keller Williams. I listened to it again this weekend, and you know what, I heard some new things in it. Isn't that weird? How you hear things differently the different times you listen to it. And you know what, one of the things, Courtney, was that story that Gary Keller tells about the wolf and aiming high. Do you remember listening to that, Courtney?
Yeah, I do.
And you know what? Go back and listen to it or read that section in the book if you guys haven't. It's in the beginning, the very beginning of the book. I actually have it highlighted, but I'm not gonna waste time to go find that page. If you haven't read this book, read it tonight. Read pages 1 through 64 tonight to solidify what we've been talking about today. And you're going to anchor some things that we talked about. So while we close up, we only have 4 minutes left, and I want to make sure I am honoring your time. So we have 4 minutes left. Brian, are you okay with getting some ahas? And
I would love to do that. I would love to. Courtney, thank you very much for your authenticity and sharing that. That's a powerful story. So thank you.
So I want to stop here because obviously we're I'm interested to hear their ahas, but I've already heard them and you guys can see them on the recording. Are there any ahas that you guys have taken away from what you've read in MREA so far? There's a lot of pressure on the singular person that's in this room. Well, I've written some ahas down. Don't worry, I anticipated this. So what I think you guys should take away, I wish I could show here. If you look at, do it right here this way. If you see me, I'm actually going to stop sharing. Thank you so much. Hey, no, stop sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you all. All right, so let's unmute ourselves and have a quick conversation. What are your ahas and takeaways from today? What are you going to implement?
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And let's go back to Zoom. Okay. So this is really from pages 1 to 64, but the big takeaways and ahas that I want you guys to walk away from this is that our coaching is there to essentially, build these foundational models. And then once you get through that and you do your first 4 transactions using those traditional models, say it'll take 90 days to perfect them and really truly understand them. And then however long it takes for you to close 4 deals, use those models. After you get through those 4 transactions, can you see this? I'm like, after you get through these, models, you can get creative, just like in the beginning of the book and this beginning of this whole the video, they talk about the getting creative. Don't get creative first and then learn the models. So as simple as that may seem, it's not easy, because when I first got into real estate, my dad handed me this book and said, read it. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I didn't. I was like, yeah, cool, I'll read this book. Didn't read the book. So I went through the first 3 years of my career using creativity. I had a lot of ebb and flows. I would kind of half do things. I would kind of, commit, do something super strongly for a week or 2 and then completely fall off. And because it's easy to do. You grind until you have a transaction. And then you get so consumed with that transaction that you completely abandon your lead generating. This is why it's so hard, and why, while these practices seem very simple, if they were easy, every single agent at Keller Williams would be a capping, producing millionaire real estate agent. And is that the case? It's not. So you want to set yourself apart. we're gonna be reiterating these. It's definitely gonna be slightly redundant, but it's because it's necessary. And it's not really, again, that difficult. It's not this complex process. It's very simple. It's as simple as leads, listings, and then when you get to the point of needing leverage. Another thing that I want you guys to kind of just keep on your mind is kind of in the same direction. You start with natural ability, everyone does, just like I just explained that I do. I don't want you guys to do what I did because I did it for 3 years. It's like, why would I have done that? Imagine if I had set these models from the jump, I would be so much farther ahead. But again, at any point when you decide, okay, hey, my natural ability has gotten me this far, but it's not really getting me to where the person I'm viewing who's living my life, where I want them, you know, where I just told you guys, find a mentor, find someone to look up to. What are they doing? They have models, and that's what's gotten them through their ceiling. And then because they know that it works, when they get to a certain ceiling again, they know, hey, I have to reevaluate these models. And that's why the tracking is so important. So once they see these new models, okay, great, this might work. They break through to another point and it continues to go, but they continue to grow. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Listings. As a new agent, I completely understand that it's your, you know, you're going to want to start with buyers. They're easier to come by. Usually, for people that are on the younger side, they're easier to come by because people are usually first-time home buyers. And while it's definitely good to get that experience, 1000%, you don't want to lose sight of listings. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is I don't want you guys to be too scared to go after listings, because I know I was when I first got into it. I was like, you want me to like knock on someone's door and ask to sell their house, or like you want me to pursue people. I had a hard time with that. And I want you guys to kind of just got right to the chase. You need to make it a part of your business. I didn't understand the value when I first got into real estate of what listings could do for me. And as soon as I pivoted and started chasing them, my business blew up. So it's part of the key foundational model for a reason. It gives you more control. They're easier to measure. And again, like I discussed, you have that commission control. You have control over that conversation, over what you're charging, what you're taking for Keller Williams, and what you're giving to the buyer side of things. I did explain in the chat an example of that. The other 4 stages of growth. Not every real estate agent in here, I understand, is going to want to do this and become like this all-star millionaire real estate agent. Whatever your goals are your goals. But this foundational model can be scaled back to whatever you want it to be. You want to think like a millionaire, or think, you know, what if this is for your big why? What if your big why is you're using real estate because you want to open, you know, an animal shelter? You want to think about how you're going to do that. You want to earn to the point where you can do that. You want to net enough to where you can expand it, and you want to, you know, receive and be able to give back. So these models are really just across the board in any business, but specifically real estate. So these are my ahas and takeaways, and I hope you guys like them. If you haven't read the book, read the book. It's a great book. It's an amazing book. I wish I read it sooner again. I was a new agent 7 years ago, and for the first 3 years of my career, I kind of just went with my natural ability. And as soon as I decided 3 years after I received the book to read it, I was like, wow, I wish I just listened and read this the first time. So that's all I really got for you guys. We're ending a little bit early. Again, I may switch this to another day of the week, because I think Fridays, you know, I'm still a realtor. We don't like to work on Fridays. So I want you guys to come in, because ultimately I understand we're just watching a video and we're reading the book, but conversations are where you learn. And I want you guys to have conversations. I want you guys to support each other. And honestly, most realtors are competitive. You're going to want to compete. Friendly competition is okay. So when you see people doing well, know that there's enough room for you. And the only difference that's setting you and them apart is that they're willing to do what they have to do when they don't want to do it. You're here. I commend you for that. I understand it also. Like when I first got into real estate, I wasn't doing it full time. I had a job, so I would be listening in like that. So it's not dogging you guys. You got to grind. You got 2 jobs. I feel it. You're a mom. You got your kids there. Totally get it. But when you can be here, because when you're around people that are doing what you want to do, it's going to drive you. It's going to keep you going. Those days that you're, again, you know, needing to kind of hyperemphasize on your big why, have a conversation with the person that is living the same lifestyle as you. There's plenty of really good agents in our office. Go look at the Kappa wall. Any single one of those people will talk to you. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Real estate happens on the weekends. I hope if you show houses, you get your offers accepted. If you guys have any questions whatsoever over the weekend, definitely reach out to me, reach out to Debbie. And I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, guys.